Welcome to the Vampire Hunter D Iceberg, or should I say, castle. I'm your host, disembodied voice with a pair of floating eyes. And in honor of spooky season, I've decided to make the first ever Vampire Hunter D Iceberg chart video. So without further ado, let's begin. D, the titular vampire hunter himself. D is what we call a Dhampir. And what is a Dhampir, you may ask? The Dhampir, half human, half vampire. All awesome. But no, seriously. Jokes aside, it's actually a quite tragic figure. A story that D is all far too familiar with. Being half vampire, they're feared by the humans. But being half human, they're looked down upon by the vampires. This leads to their long lifespan inherited by their vampire half to be a very lonely one. Lefty. D's literal left hand, and possibly his only friend throughout his long and heinous journeys. A parasite that was somehow infused into him at birth, presumably by his father, who just so happens to be Dracula, the sacred ancestor, the most noble of nobles, and the father of D. Setting out to create a new breed of vampires, one that could walk in the daylight, one that was resistant to any holy artifacts. He mated with a human woman, and conceived D. The 1985 film, which is pretty much what it says, the original anime film of Vampire Hunter D, which is based on the first novel in the entire franchise. It could still be viewed on YouTube to this day, along with the Bloodlust film, the second film in the franchise based on the third book in the franchise, which is also still available for viewing on YouTube. Count Magnus Lee, the primary antagonist to the first novel in the Vampire Hunter D series, as well as the 1985 film. He's based off of a vampire from an M.R. James novel by the same name. Carmilla, the second film and third novel's primary antagonist, based on the lesbian vampire of the same name that predates Dracula by 26 years. It's never really revealed what exactly happened between her and the sacred ancestor. However, Lefty does state that her bloodlust was so disgusting, even D's father had to imprison her. Digital Manga Publishing was the distributor for the Vampire Hunter D manga series, which was an adaptation of the novels. However, the entire line was cancelled after the 8th volume. A really bad event that sent the Earth back to the Stone Age was a nuclear war caused by the sacred ancestor so that his kind may rise from the ash and rebuild a world anew where they would rule as the nobles. The Reader's Guide is a piece of Vampire Hunter D history that I sadly don't have any first-hand history with. But can you blame me? I mean, on every website it's on, it reaches the triple digits, and I'm not made of money. However, thanks to Wikipedia, as usual, and the description on Amazon, we know within the book are several short stories featuring D, an interview with the creator on how he created such a masterpiece, and the work that went into both animated films. All of that being said, I would totally buy this novel if it was within my price range. I am seriously considering buying this novel even though it's not within my price range. Someone talk me out of buying this novel before I spend money that's not within my price range. The nobles causing the bad times is exactly as it sounds. The sacred ancestor, Dracula, wanted a world where his children could flourish. And in order to do that, he set the entire world on fire. Well, more like he gave them the weapons to do it themselves. Humanity blew themselves back to the Stone Age, and from the ashes, the nobles rose, rebuilding society and reshaping the world into their image. The 3,000-year war Alright, now this is where the story gets a little kind of off the rails. During the vampires' reign as they rebuild humanity, Martians invaded the Earth. Yes, Martians invaded the Earth while it was ruled by vampires after a post-apocalyptic nuclear war. I think that says it all. The outer space beings. Alright, so they aren't technically called Martians in the story. In fact, we don't really know what they were, as there's never any remnants found except for their technology. However, there is one prime specimen that we'll begin to later down the chart. Life before being left hand is in reference to the hints throughout the first 3 books that indicate that Left Hand used to be a separate entity long before D's own existence. With his knowledge of the sacred ancestor and Carmilla's history, and the fact that the duo, D and him, encounter a similar organism in the 3rd book, it's safe to say that this theory may very well be true. The audio drama series is a number of episodes of D that have been translated to radio drama. And while I haven't been able to find any myself, I doubt they're even translated at this point, there are numerous fan ones on YouTube. Vampire Hunter D the video game is a PlayStation 1 era game based off the Bloodlust film, and while it wasn't fairly well received upon initial release, it's still a good nostalgia bait game for diehard fans such as myself. Iria, sorry if I mispronounced that name, but I've never heard it spoken out loud, is one of the more interesting characters of the Vampire Hunter D mythos. Hailing from a family that was attacked by nobles, Iria somehow survived without turning into one herself. Many speculate as to how this is possible, but one name pops up: Alucard. The Dark Nocturne is another compilation book in the novel series, containing 3 short stories, one being the titular Dark Nocturne itself, an ode to Imagined Falls, and Legend of the War Fiends. The Wanderer's Ship. This is a feel-good story in the community of Vampire Hunter D. A manuscript that was auctioned off at Anime Convention in 2008. The winner of the manuscript decided, you know what, I'm fine with sharing, and I want the rest of the world to know the glory of this story. So, they put it out there. They actually got real voice actors to come in, do readings of the story, and then they even translated it to English and gave it the same treatment. Like, they just, out of the goodness of their heart, shared a little piece of Vampire Hunter D media that would have been lost otherwise. That's a freaking hero right there. The Castlevania Connection, Ayami Kojima. Miss Kojima is an illustrator and artist for the Castlevania series, giving us depictions of Alucard, Dracula, and the Belmonts that we are so familiar with and fond of today. She dabbled in the Vampire Hunter D series as well, although not with the series that features D. Instead, this was a prequel series that we'll be touching on later down the list. The Hammer Horror Film Series. Not really much to say about this entry, other than the fact that the creator of Vampire Hunter D, apologies if I butcher the name, Hideyuki Kikuchi, cited them as his main gateway inspiration to horror and vampires alike. And rewatching them for this video, I can definitely see that being the case. The Listahari's sword is the name given to Dee's sword by Left Hand in the Bloodlust film. Forever 18 is in reference to the fact that in the world of Vampire Hunter D, the nobles, aka the vampires, cease aging upon hitting 18 and 19 years old. So, 18, 18, 18, 18. Okay, so clearly the rules don't apply to each nobility. However, for ones that are born into being a vampire, similar to D, the aging process ceases. But with that being said, how old is D then? 5,000 to 10,000 years old is the estimated age of D, at least given to him by the fans, as it's never outright stated in the novels or any other submedia of what his true age is. And I'm not entirely sure how they came to this number. However, I do have a theory that they mean in the first book, the first D we meet, he's supposed to be 5,000 years of age at the moment. And then every other novel onwards takes place in the time span of another 5,000 years. Chronologically, this makes sense as well. For if we look at the second novel, which is stated to take place in 12,090, subtract the 5,000 from that, we'll see that Dee's birth year was 7,090, which takes place only 9 decades after. Noble V, the Grey Lancer, the first spin-off to the Vampire Hunter D series, and a prequel at that. The series follows Noble V, hence the name, through the years of 7001 to 7006, as he's driven by his undying loyalty for the sacred ancestor, and champions the nobles throughout the 3,000-year war. There are only 2 books in the series thus far. However, in those 2 books, V faces such an odd assortment of adversaries that I could only list some of them. That being a tainted batch of humans with poisoned blood that have been killing off nobles, rebelling nobles that have been plotting against the sacred ancestor, the outer space beings themselves, and a human hero from the wasteland called Sunhawk. Karuru. Yes, that's right. Cthulhu himself is canon to the Vampire Hunter D mythos. Making his first appearance in the D series in Fortress of the Elder God, Cthulhu, Karuru, Kalulu, whatever he wants to be called in this one, is discovered by a group of nobles that grew exhausted of their immortal existence and came to worship the Elder God for his ability to liberate them from it. This would lead to a civil war amongst the nobles, those loyal to the sacred ancestor, and those who grew tired of existence. And while it was hard fought and cost him many of nobles, the sacred ancestor would prevail in re-imprisoning Cthulhu. However, he could not kill him, though his son did. Fists of the North Star! You didn't really think Cthulhu was the only guest character in this universe, did you? Well, okay, no, I am reaching a bit on this one, but still the evidence is there. Such as this background lookalike of Kenshiro from the Vampire Hunter D 1985 film, or the opening to the 1986 Fists of the North Star film.
On Earth, this balance was disrupted by a nuclear holocaust which rendered technology useless and devastated the planet's population.
Coincidence? I think not. Primarily because both the 1986 Fists of the North Star film and 1985 Vampire Hunter D film had the same director, Toyo Ishida, and I think he was just having fun with both properties that he was working on at the time. The Langarang Army of Me fan film is a film for Vampire Hunter D fans, made by Vampire Hunter D fans, starring Vampire Hunter D fans. I'm not entirely sure how much I could really show of her channel or the film itself, so here's just a little bit of the trailer, where you could find it, and you could go give her the support that she deserves, because I think it's a great film. I think it deserves some more recognition, and that's why I put it on this iceberg chart video. Go check it out. It's only a 19-minute film. The blue pendant is an article of clothing worn by D that helps prevent automated defenses such as lasers and force fields from functioning properly, allowing him to break into nobles' sanctuaries with minimal effort. "You are my only success," are the words that the sacred ancestors said to D. Ironically, those are the words that any child would love to hear from their parents. Except for D. And if he was the only success, what were the failures before him? American Wasteland. Oh, now we're starting into the downer stuff. This is a canceled comic book line that would have followed D coming to the States, hunting vampires that have gone unchecked since the bad times. Message from Mars. Basically the same as the last entry, except instead of the States, D would have gone to Mars. And, unlike American Wasteland, a single issue was released before cancellation. One of which I was fortunate enough to get on the day of release. Resurrection, otherwise known as Vampire Hunter D the series, is the announced and apparently still greenlit CGI anime that has yet to even see the light of day. It's just a series stuck in development hell. Cancelled film. Yeah, apparently the guys that made the Resident Evil movies were supposed to make a Vampire Hunter D film. I am torn on this one. Given with what they produced so far, maybe it's for the best that it never happened. But at the same time, those are my guilty pleasure films. I'm not going to lie. Versus Guts fan battles. I put this on here just because of how common it is that people pit D against Guts from Berserk. And I find it comedical almost. The fight is as one-sided as can be. D can survive the center of a sun. I really don't know why people are souping up Guts, or either just hate him that much to get curb stomped. Honestly, I don't get it myself. Mina Harker is the mother, is in reference to D's human mother's name, being Mina the Fair, which could only be a reference to Mina Harker from the original Bram Stoker novel, Dracula. D's twin, also known as Other D, not him, that's more like it, is an exact copy of the vampire hunter we all know and love, save for the fact that he's loyal to the nobles and aims to be the sacred ancestor's successor. Olivia Cross, the main protagonist to the spin-off series Vampire Hunter Gaiden, is also a Dhampir that specializes in hunting vampires. The only difference is that she'll actually take jobs from nobility themselves. The Hunter in White is the titular character of a spin-off series that follows another vampire hunter, but for only an 8-page manga. It's more of a self-parody of the series as it follows an inversion of D. Whereas D dresses in all black, this hunter dresses in all white. The final conflict for D is not the end, are the words of Hideyuki himself, in reference to when D finally fights the sacred ancestor. What this entails, though, is still unclear. Does he plan on continuing the series after such a conflict? Or does he plan on continuing it with a spin-off, such as with Olivia or the Hunter? Only time will tell. And there you go, folks. That's the Vampire Hunter D Iceberg. I hope I managed to turn some of you onto the franchise. If not, I failed you. I'm sorry. But otherwise, have a happy and safe Halloween. I'll see you all next time.